Hello, everyone. I'm Pia Renada, and welcome to Rappler Talk. Today, we have a senatorial candidate who you might know from the ABS-CBN legal drama series Ipaglaban Mo. He was also a Quezon City councilor from 1992 to 1998, and then he ran for vice mayor in Quezon City but lost, and now he is seeking a Senate seat. He For the longest time he was with the Liberal Party, but joined PDP Laban, which is the president's party, in 2019. And for 2022 elections, he's a member of Action Democratic and is a member also of Isko Moreno's senatorial slate. Welcome, Jopet Sison.
Thank you, Pia. Thank you for having me here at Rappler. It's an honor.
Okay, so we are 2 weeks into the campaign period, no? And so siguro my first questions will really be, kung kamusta naman po ang campaign trail? You've been going around the country with Isko Moreno and his two other senatorial candidates. Kamusta naman po ang crowds? Kamusta ang reception?
Buti pinaalala mo, 2 weeks na pala, Pia. Grabe, hindi ko na malayan yung 2 weeks dahil talagang from the very start, in fact, yung first day namin, it was the whole day of campaign. We converted most of our activities from sorties. Now we included a motorcade, which takes a big part of our time. Standing up, going around street by street. So okay naman, nakakapagod pero maganda naman ang tanggap ng mga tao. So yeah, the bilin sa amin we should be happy warriors. So we're enjoying our campaign trail.
Okay. In recent days, no, marami rin nagpo-point out, actually before pa, that Isko Moreno's senatorial slate is very small compared to the other Senate slates. In fact, yung iba kasi nakabuo ng 12, pero si Mayor Isko chose to keep it very small. Actually, quite reminding me, in fact, of Duterte in 2016. He also had a very small
Oh yeah, that's right.
slate,
Oo
right?
nga, oo.
He kept it like mga 5 people lang.
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing is happening now. And many people say this points to a weakness in Isko Moreno's candidacy, the fact that hindi siya nakabuo ng 12. What do you think, given how things have played out in the campaign trail?
Ako, I think it shows his strength in choosing the people who would be with his team. Our characteristics, our capacity, our background, kami nila Sam at ni Carl, iba-iba ang background namin. So, sa amin, tingin namin sa pag-ikot, we are able to cover all issues and all platforms. Pero of course, we're still open to those who would want to join. But the condition is their agenda should be for the people, of course, and their president and vice president should be Isko Moreno. So I think that is one of the conditions of our presidential aspirant Isko Moreno, that when we go around, we should have senatorial candidates who would support him. So yeah, that's our condition.
Yeah, he's talked about it before, no, na parang if you want to be in his Senate slate, kailangan hindi ka shared candidate. Which,
Tama.
in his words nga, parang tantamount to fooling the people daw yung nagkaka-shared
Yeah.
candidates.
May
Nakita naman
gumawa,
out. Oh, sige, go ahead, sir.
may gumawa ng we saw a chart of circles combining and overlapping candidates, and nagulat ako doon sa chart na yan dahil there are, I think, 5 candidates, senatorial candidates belonging to 3 different parties or supporting 3 different presidential candidates. So sa akin nakakagulo yun. Magulo yung ganong position dahil you're part of a team, you'll be carrying platforms and programs of government, and you'll be, when you go out as a team, you're endorsing each other. So it should be clear who you are presenting to the people as part of your group. And in our case, so far we are solid 5 individuals, president, vice president, and 3 senatorial candidates.
Plus 4th kasi si John Casuchones may additional.
John Casuchones, yeah, it's being finalized, I think, and soon he will be on board.
Which is ironic nga, which is why it's ironic to me, no, na si Willie Ong was absent from the Maguindanao sorties. And that grabbed headlines. People were saying, parang thrown under the bus. He was abandoned by Isko
Ano,
Moreno. Despite Isko Moreno saying na, we're one team, we won't abandon
yeah.
each other, ayoko ng shared candidate. And yet we have him riding a caravan with Sara Duterte's face beside him. How do you explain this to people? And how do you justify this as a member of his slate?
Yeah, we cannot really prevent. I'm not new in politics. I think I've ran in six elections, and nangyayari talaga yon. We cannot prevent people from supporting certain individuals or coming up with their combined slate. Ibang noon mayor, ibang vice mayor, dito ibang presidente, ibang vice president, even us. Pwedeng hindi kami kasama dun sa kanilang ini-endorso. So in that particular case, we cannot dictate on people who they would support and who they want to carry in their lineup individually or collectively as a group. So we cannot prevent that, but we are firm in our conviction in our campaign that it is still Isko Docwili, and it is the three of us, and eventually including John Casticiones.
Mm. But what do you think of the conscious decision of Isko Moreno to board that truck with Sara Duterte's face? Kasi yung ganun, hindi na yan out of your control, di ba? You can choose whether or not to ride that truck. You can choose whether to tell the supporters, hey, baka pwedeng patanggal muna ng isa poster dyan kasi
Yeah,
nakakasama kay Willie Ong. What do you think of that? Do you agree with
yun
that?
nga, I wasn't aware that that transpired. Well, in fact, I think we were on several stage where the face of Sarah was there, but yeah, we have to give that to the organizers of the event. Kami ay sumasama lang doon, at ang importante na napag-usapan din namin, wag magsabay sa isang entablado yung dalawang kandidato, kung si Sara yan at si Isko, at pag daw wag i-endorse. So I think if we are talking about the pronouncements, the statements, it is clear. And Isko reiterated this so many times na Isko Docwili, period. So I think that would send the clear message to everyone that we are campaigning as a team until the very end of the elections.
All right. Jopet, let's go to your senatorial bid itself now. We want to know
Okay.
also what led to your decision to run for senator. Ano yung decision-making process mo that led to that moment?
Yeah, initially I was in fact I filed my certificate of candidacy for Congress in my district. So I filed under Acción Democrático, and I was aware that there were already three senatorial candidates back then under the party. It just so happens that si Kabayan Noli then backed out. So I took it as an opportunity to aspire for a higher position by filling up that vacancy. Maganda naman dahil nalaman ko I was part of the short list of Action Democratico, and I weighed the consequences and what I will be going to. Hindi naman ako pumapasok dito knowing na matatalo ako. Lagi iniisip ko the opportunity to be able to win and the opportunity to be able to serve at a higher level of legislation in the Senate. So when that opportunity came, even if I have already filed my candidacy for Congress, I took that opportunity to run for the Senate, weighing also the campaign strategies that we already had for Congress and now for the Senate. So may mga ano yan, may mga factors yon. If you consider the Congress as campaigning in a district na we have to go one-on-one, man-to-man, voter per voter, medyo masikip or matindi ang pangangampanya as compared now to campaigning, although it is in a much wider venue nationwide, but at least yeah, I would have to admit magagamit ko kahit papaano yung aking popularity, yung programang ipaglaban mo, and I have now a
Mm.
vehicle in the party, Action Demokratiko, and with a group to go around and assist and help in campaigning for the Senate.
Mm. So you were not asked to fill that vacancy. You volunteered to fill in that vacancy.
It's actually a matter of both, no?
Mm.
I have presented myself as available in case that happens, and
Mm.
when it happened, I was part of the short list, so I was also invited to be part of the ticket.
Okay. We want to know your positions on critical issues, no? So number one,
Okay.
for instance, yung ICC, International Criminal Court,
Yeah.
hindi na miyembro yung Pilipinas ngayon dahil kay
Yeah.
President Duterte. But as someone in the Senate, you would have the power to,
Yeah.
put measures to lead to a return into the ICC.
Yeah.
Would you support such a measure?
Yeah, I would. I would support that measure, and dapat maging miyembro tayo sa ICC, International Criminal Court, especially sa panahon ngayon. There will be activities, transactions, or issues that would involve international cooperation and international justice. So in that case, sumama tayo dyan. Kailangan natin na maging miyembro niyan dahil tayo ngayon, ang mundo ngayon ay lumiliit. Kailangan natin ng tulong ng lahat ng ating mga neighboring countries para sa international justice system. So yes, I will support that move that we go back and be a member of the ICC.
Do you think the Philippine government should hand Duterte over to the ICC if he's convicted of crimes against humanity?
I think ICC should not be investigating on our citizens if we are in the capacity to rule and to govern by ourselves and impose our justice system on our citizens and individuals. We remain to be a sovereign country. Our laws and justice systems are in place. So if ever there will be violations or criminal activities being conducted in our country, it should be our system that should put that in place.
Hmm. Many groups are saying that the justice system in the Philippines isn't working for the victims. For example, yung lone conviction sa drug war cases, yung kay Kian de los Santos, and after
Yeah,
that, thousands of cases have not even been heard in court. And victims' families say that they are being it's very difficult for them to get transparency from the police. So,
yeah, yeah.
given the situation, do you think that the ICC should not intervene currently?
I don't think the ICC should intervene. I think we should impose stricter measures or improve our justice system, the executive department in monitoring our police and how they are enforcing our laws. The the initial and primary activity should be to improve our own system, cover the flaws, and as much as possible impose fair and equitable and just implementation of the laws of the country. So even if there are flaws in the system is still in place. We have remedies in case there are flaws in a particular department or agency, and we should explore that first before inviting uh, any international body to intervene in the affairs of our state, in the affairs of our sovereign country.
How about for freedom of information? What kind of FOI legislation would you support?
Um, we have the Freedom of Information Bill. I think we should enhance it
In what
using
way? Mm.
the available technology now. Ano na tayo? We are in the digital world. So I think data should be definitely public data should be available, and it should be available in such a way that it is downloadable, user friendly, immediately digestible by dami na nating mga ano ngayon, mga magagaling sa computer, they can easily process it, they can digest it, they can come up with their own Excel file using that data. We're talking here about data for education, data for health, for services, including data which involves our budget. Yeah, that is one of my priority legislations. I would want to push for a decentralized and open budget available for viewing and for monitoring and evaluation by as many people as possible, and we can only do that through the digital enhancement or digitization of our data.
How would you differentiate that to the situation now where yung DBM naman regularly posts the NEB, di ba? Yung National Expenditure Program. Before naman yung budget season, pinapost nila yan. And then we have these public budget hearings. How would your proposal be different from that?
Yes, they do. But if you want to get details of these data, I think you would have to go through writing letters to them and go through quite a bureaucratic process. In fact, my proposal is to come up with an even more detailed budget. So in that case, we will be removing some of the lump sum appropriations, which has been the source of pork barrel. So if we go detailed line item, then we will be coming up with a more, they say, voluminous document. But what we keep on harping on is that voluminous documents in the time of the digital world is only one USB, and it can contain all of that. So we have to make this available, less of the bureaucratic process in availing of the system, of the information, and have it available on the internet. Anybody can click on it, anybody can access it, digest it, and come up with their own analysis of our data. And right now, you cannot simply do that. You have to go through several formal requirements. We are talking about public information here, public data, so it should remain public and easily accessible.
The president currently has an FOI executive order, pero it has around 150 or 200 exemptions. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's really that's that defeats the purpose. That definitely defeats the purpose. You're talking about information that should be public. If you have 150 signatures, requirements, or documents before getting those data, then that bill, that executive order, would be useless.
How about the rule now on SALN? Kasi before,
Yeah,
public officials would just post or, di ba, voluntarily put it somewhere public. Pero ngayon, kailangan pa ng permission daw ng
I
owner of the SALN na ibibigay sa ombudsman, tapos yung ombudsman daw mag-release. What do you think of this policy?
I have been in public service for quite some time. 9 years in the local government unit and 11 years as a head of the government-owned and controlled corporations. Ang SALN namin talagang sa amin is we have to prepare it, and it is for us, for me, I have considered it mandatory without conditions. So we prepare it and we submit it. In fact, during those times, we have to monitor the deadlines so that we can submit it on time. So yeah, we have to bring back that practice, because this is one way of determining whether an individual or an officer of the government has amassed illegal or ill-gotten wealth.
So you think the ombudsman should be posting these SALNs instead of waiting to get the permission of the SALN submitter? Kasi hindi naman in question yung submission of SALNs. That's still happening now. What's
Yeah,
different now is
is the
hindi na
posting.
post na ombudsman.
It
Kailangan daw
was,
may
yeah,
notarized permission.
before it was being published. Before it was being published. So
Pusa, di ba?
it is the obligation of the ombudsman to publish this even without the request. Yeah. And
Alright.
again, we go back to ano, to the date, data information being public. We use digitization. We use digital technology so that the ombudsman would not have to be publishing this, or would have not have to go through the process of preparing and publishing. This should be automatically available through the internet by the public.
Okay. Let's go to media issues, Attorney Jopet. How about ABS-CBN franchise? Kasi alam natin that the House really moved to cancel this, to not give them a new franchise. With you in the Senate, would you support a franchise if they apply again for such a franchise?
Although my answer might be a bit biased, I am part of ABS, but I monitored the procedure, and this was a mere granting of a franchise, a renewal of the franchise, which historically has been not this controversial and not this meticulous in coming up with this renewed franchise. What I would probably propose in the Senate is to come up with a checklist of requirements before the issuance of a issuance or renewal of a franchise. This checklist would be based on the purpose of the franchise. It is a public utility for a specific purpose granted by the government as a privilege. Okay, so we come up with a checklist so that our legislators who have been given the power to grant this franchise would not be overstepping their powers just so they would deny a franchise on a mere whims, on their whims or caprice, just because probably they are not in favor or they have a grudge to grind against these particular franchise holders. So yes, we have to fine tune the requirements for granting the franchise, come up with a checklist that the legislators would use as basis for granting this.
So do you think that the rejection of the ABS-CBN franchise during the Duterte administration, do you think that was whimsical, capricious, politicized, and influenced by the president?
By what I have witnessed, by what I have heard during the hearings, probably they have legitimate issues, but it should not have been tackled during the franchise hearing. But basically, by the statements also of the legislators, there were instances where they just denied the franchise because of their whims, caprice, or axe to grind against the particular franchise holder.
So when you say the grievances, no, you mean na pwede namang pag-usapan yung issues nila with the stories that they supposedly
Oh,
put out or allegedly biased. Hindi yun yung avenue for that, you're saying?
definitely. Kasi pag pumunta tayo dyan, ibang usapan na yan. Ano na yan? Curtailment of curtailment of press freedom, curtailment of speech, which our journalists and TV stations have a right to do.
How about on the issue of libel, sir? Do you agree with decriminalizing it, as is the call of a lot of media groups?
Um, I would not agree on decriminalizing it because, in truth, the penalty for libel is not really that high or that severe. Um, Probably right now the issue here is the scope of libel, which now involves cyber or internet, and in essence, they also adopted what the revised penal code has been providing. It's just that the manner of committing the libel is through internet. Right now, I think the law is good as is.
Pero di ba may jail time, sir, yung yung libel now. Do you agree with this? Some media groups are saying it's being used to harass journalists who really don't have the resources, or parang it's easy to file harassment cases versus journalists when it's possible naman na, like in many other countries, may fine na lang, may parang civilian penalties for libel. What do you think?
Well, yeah, similar to all other laws. Yeah, we have the justice system, and if you have a defense on your side, then I think you have to present this in court so that the final arbiter on whether or not this particular fact happened or this particular event took place would be decided by the courts after presenting all the evidences and the probably witnesses in order to justify your cause. So yeah, I would have to renege on the justice system and the due process that is always concurrent in criminal proceedings.
In the CNN Philippines, in a CNN Philippines interview, you said, Jopet, that you would support federalism. You would want a federal system of government. But in 2018, Pulse Asia found that 62% of Filipinos don't want to shift to the federal system. Given that, how would you
Yeah,
push that? Given na yung sentiments ng tao hindi siya for
yeah.
federalization.
I came from my initial stint as a public servant is in the barangay. So I was with the barangay government for 3 years and also with the local government for 6 years. So I've been exposed to the services in the lowest institution of our government. So I'm familiar with with the services that are being delivered by the lowest local government unit. That's why, seeing this, uh, I have favored federalism for government to be closer to the people. We have to federalize, not only in terms of services, but more so in terms of funding and budget. So yes, that is still my position until now. We brag that we are a government of the people, for the people, and by the people, and the institutions that would concretize and exemplify this concept are the local government units and the barangay. So yeah, my direction is still for federalism. On your next question regarding 62% are not in favor, well, okay, we can take that into consideration. We do not know the basis for this survey of 62%. We might have to explain further the benefits of federalism, and that might change their mind regarding their position. But given that, okay, 62%, we assume that they have already considered all factors, studied all matters. Then, right now, we can see that we have this Mandanas Garcia
Mhm.
ruling of the Supreme Court. In a way, it is a taste of federalism because we are increasing the budget allocations for the local government units down to the very barangay level. So yeah, okay, I would want to give this a shot before amending probably the
Mhm.
constitutional provisions on the system of government. We try to explore this side of the approach where we fund our local government units based on their allocation from internal revenue and national revenue. So yes, it is a taste of federalism, and I would want to contribute as a senator in monitoring the
Mhm.
devolution plan for the
Mhm.
implementation of this Mandanas Garcia ruling.
Mhm. In relation to that, you mentioned in previous campaign sorties that you plan to strengthen the barangay system. Can you just elaborate on that? How exactly do you strengthen the barangay? What are the weaknesses or gaps in the system that you see?
Yeah, precisely that, what I mentioned, to increase their funding. And it's good that we have already a system in place to strengthen the funding for the barangays. But in terms of, as you strengthen the barangay, as you give them funding, I know, and it is also part of that ruling, that their functions and their duties would likewise increase.
Mhm.
So yeah, we are able now to tap the barangays in matters concerning drug enforcement. Nanggaling ako dyan, makikita mo sa barangay, alam ng barangay captain kung saan merong drugs, kung saan bahay nagdi-deal. Alam yan dahil sa liit ng lugar at dahil sa pag-ikot nila. So, gamitin natin yung information na yon. Suportahan natin ng police. Sinasabi nila palagi to curb drugs and illegal drugs. You need the cooperation of the civilian and the police. This is the best example of cooperation between civilians through the barangay and enforced and supplemented by police enforcement.
So what exactly will your law look like if you wanted to strengthen the barangay system? So paano yung angle ng law?
Aside from the functions, ano kami, one of my principal and probably prime legislation is the Magna Carta of the barangays. We have to strengthen, we have to define their duties, probably identify the minimum basic needs of the constituencies, and allocate this as specific activities or programs of the barangay. The other aspect of why we need the Magna Carta is on the security of tenure and on professionalizing barangay services. Yung mga tanod natin, yung mga barangay health workers natin. Sa tanod na lang I'm sure maraming mag-agree dito. Gawin nating merit-based, gawin nating professional. Kahit paano naman, not necessarily probably civil service requirements, but we come up with our own criteria for choosing our barangay tanods. And for the barangay health workers who have been exposed to so many tasks and duties during this pandemic, i-professionalize na natin. Magkaroon tayo ng security of tenure. Meron tayong insurance coverage, GSIS coverage, and professionalized secure tenure with fixed salaries for these barangay workers. Siguro pwede natin idagdag doon pati yung mga kagawad ngayon nasa allowance lang, barangay captains based on the income of the barangay. I think it is high time to standardize this across all levels, kahit malaki o maliit yung barangay mo. Yung trabaho naman halos pareho, so dapat yung sweldo nila standardize natin across all levels.
Okay. You also mentioned previously housing reforms, and importante din to kasi Isko Moreno, one of his main pillars in his platform is really to boost housing in the Philippines. So what kind of housing reforms were you planning?
This is the program I am most excited in. I've been with the housing sector of the national government for 11 years, and I've seen how it works. In the 4 years in my stint in NHA on the production side, when I was part of NHA, we continued with what is being done during that time, and mostly our resettlement sites would look like it's a row housing unit with 40 square meters land and 22 square meter floor area with loft. It is done all across the country. But with the when I saw the housing program of Isko Moreno, I was reminded of our visit to Singapore and Malaysia. Doon ko unang nakita yung ganong system. Ginawa rin ng Singapore and Malaysia yung ginagawa natin. Nung nakita ko, sabi, parehas naman. But they did it 50 years ago. So, doon tayo nahuhuli until I saw the housing program of Isko Moreno, which he was able to conceptualize and execute in a short period of time, 3 years. So, I want us to go to that direction for urbanized areas, highly dense areas. There is no other way but to go vertical, and that is the system that should be in place. In terms of structure, we go high, we go up. In terms of financial package, instead of giving the beneficiaries the financial package of buying their house and lot for 25 years, maguhulog sila, may interest, pag hindi makabayad interest, may penalty. Ito dahil nasa main downtown area, we put high-rise building, we do not sell. We just charge them interest. No, not interest, but rental. Rental payments for these particular units. Tapos, ang kagandahan doon, yung program, yung financial package ngayon, pagka ayaw na ng residente doon or mari na siyang, yumaman na siya, pwede na siyang umalis, lahat ng binayad niya ay inipon para sa kanya ng gobyerno, ibabalik sa kanya. So that is a unique financial package that I think would work in highly urbanized areas, and I would want to take part in that also, in implementing it nationwide.
Okay. Last question, Jopet, because we know we have so many senatorial candidates lined up, di ba? We know maraming familiar names, mga returning senators. So, can you just give your last pitch to voters? Like, what makes you the senatorial candidate that they should vote for in this landscape we have na it's the same names, and your also your track record as a lawyer and a local official?
Yeah, alam ko maraming mga bumabalik na senador, maraming mga pangalan na kilala na, at may pondo sila, pangangampanya. Kami hindi po gaano, pero kami naman ay masipag. At kami naman ay mabilis kumilos, kaya mag-iikot kami at mangangampanya. Kami ay direktang pupunta sa tao para mangampanya. Ako bilang naglingkod sa barangay, sa Sangguniang Panglungsod at 11 taon sa pabahay, nais kong dalhin naman yung aking mga karanasan dyan para makatulong sa Senado sa mga larangan na nabanggit ko kanina. So, sa barangay at sa ipaglaban mo, ako'y nakikinig sa tao, narinig ko na po lahat ng problemang legal na pumupunta po sa amin, at doon sa mga pakikinig na yan, doon po ako nakakagawa ng batas. Kaya umabot sa mahigit 200 ordinansa at resolusyon ng aking naipasa dahil sa pakikinig. And we will continue to listen to the people as we go around the country. We will continue to go city by city. Dadaanin namin sa sipag. So sana po, with those combinations of listening to the people with a pure heart of service and sipag, sana po magwagi tayo bilang senador.
Maraming salamat, Jopet, Sison. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. A very best of luck also to you. We will be seeing you on the campaign trail. Again, I'm Pia Nada. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much, Pia. Thank you for this opportunity. Very much appreciated.